Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Wednesday night in all transparency. This was recorded a little bit before 10 o'clock. We're going to do it with Eric Engels, a Sportsnet. He's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Eric has written a couple of articles as of late. One is on the Canadiens' young core. Another is on Jakub Dobes, who last night stopped 41 of 43. He's won 23 of his 34 starts. We're going to talk about the Evans line. Is Bolduc coming around? Some people seem to think he is. He hasn't scored since the 23rd of December, but he's starting to do other things out of the core. Who has the potential to be the best out of all of them? We'll talk about Caden Gooley's game and what he's done. We'll talk about the minutes, ice time given to the Montreal Canadiens defense. You no longer have the 26, the 25s, and the 24s. Why is that? They're starting to spread it out a lot more, which I think bodes well down the stretch here for the Montreal Canadiens. The number one line combined for 5 points last night. A couple of milestones are around the corner as Suzuki aims for 100 points. Caufield aims for 50 goals, and Juraj Slafkovsky aims for 30. We'll discuss all of that and so much more right here on the Sick Podcast. I'm Marinaro. Stay with us. I'm coming up in 3 short minutes with Eric Engels.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now. Got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your number one sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K,
All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro,
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
the sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they work
team to the top. And now a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast. Thank you for watching live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Once again, this podcast was recorded a little bit earlier in the evening, but as you're watching right now, there are a couple of games that are probably in progress: Boston versus Buffalo and the Rangers versus Toronto. This is what I can tell you, of course, that going into tonight's games, the Buffalo Sabres were 7 points up on the Canadiens, 2 points ahead of Tampa for the Atlantic Division lead. And the Boston Bruins held on to the first wild card spot, 1 point ahead of the Ottawa Senators. So whether Buffalo won or lost, or whatever, picked up a point or two or none, they're still going to be in first place in the Atlantic. And whether the Boston Bruins pick up 2 points or 1 point or no point, the Boston Bruins are still going to be in the first wild card spot, because the Bruins, going into tonight's action, played one more game than the Canadiens. So with tonight's game, will have played 2 games more than the Canadiens, and the Canadiens with 2 points more than Boston going into their game tonight versus the Buffalo Sabres. So with that out of the way, I want to talk to you, of course, about Allard and Mo. For nearly 50 years, Allard and Mo has set the standard for HVAC service in Montreal. Their focus is simple, unmatched quality, and dependable comfort for your home. Visit allardmo.com to learn more. Allard and Mo, experts in heating, air conditioning, and ventilation since 1977. They bring you Eric Engels.
Eric Engels, presented by Allard et Emo. Experts in heating, air conditioning, and ventilation since 1977.
Eric, what's going on?
I got to bring the energy like you did. You were on fire off the hop there, and I'm excited. I'm a little under the weather, but
yes.
I'm going to push. I'm going to push.
I only brought it for one reason, by the way, Eric, because before the show you said, let's bring some energy. I said, oh my God, even this guy's asking me to bring the energy. As if I don't have Agnello and Sammy hammering me all day with that. So I got Eric too. It's okay. I know you guys want what's best for the show. I'm going to say this. I want to talk. There's so many topics I have on the agenda tonight. The Evans line, whether Bolduc is on the verge of turning it around, Demidov feeling it last night, you running into one of your buddies at the airport and discussing the Montreal Canadiens young core, the fact that the number one line combined for 13 points on Saturday, they combined for 5 points yesterday. Dobes was now won 23 of his 34 starts, stopping 41 of 43 last night. So basically, I'll ask you this. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, dealer's choice. I think we should start with Ivan Demidov, right? Like, I know it's been a while. I know for once over this entire season, he's actually looked like a rookie. And all of a sudden, you look at his last 2 games, and it's coming back to him. And I just, you brought up the article I wrote at the beginning of the week, and I think it was a fun, different type of article than the ones I usually do. Just I ran into an old friend at the airport, and he struck up a conversation with me about hockey. Shocker. That happens everywhere I go. And I got to tell you, if you're ever out there and you run into me and you want to talk hockey, I'm happy to do it. It's my job. I love it. I love hockey. I never have an issue. Never be shy. And
cool. Let's bring up a screenshot of the article, as a matter of fact, and then we can continue. Shane Gamo, Master Control, there you have it. Led by young core, Canadiens entertainment era is just getting started on Sportsnet from Eric Engels. Talk to me about your encounter with your buddy Flicker.
Well, what I liked about the conversation is that at one point or another, it turned towards him asking me, if you had to pick one guy of this young, promising core, like who has the most promise of all of them? And without hesitation, I said it's Demidov. I think within 5 years, Demidov has the ability to become a top 10 player in the world. He's going to need another player to play with on his line. It's very hard. Like, I was even talking about this with another player in the NHL who plays for another team, where for him to meet that projection, it's hard for him to break through a top line that has Slafkovsky, Caufield, and Suzuki on it already. And so he will need someone joining him in that top 6 that really brings out that player in him, right? But that same player that I spoke to, and I want to say who it is because he plays for another team. He said he basically said that not only does Demidov have that ability, that it could be sooner than within just 5 years if he gets another player to play with. And and I'm not taking anything away from Newhook and Kapanen because I think they're playing good hockey right now. They're picking it up, especially over the last couple of games. But to see Demidov do some of the stuff he did last game, that move that he made, before he scored the goal, his first rush up the ice where he made that move, he intentionally banked the puck off Keandre Miller's skate back to himself. That was an incredible move. I think when the game slows down for him and he has the poise and calm to deliver everything his brain tells him to do, there's no putting a ceiling on this guy. It's not just ability, it's his passion. It's the fact that he plays on the inside and is scared of absolutely no one or anything on the ice. He's not a perimeter talent like we've seen in the past with guys at his level of talent. I don't know if what I'm saying is debatable in your mind. I don't know if he'll ever be as important of a player as Nick Suzuki currently is to the Canadiens, but I think he'll be the best player on this team within 5 years and a top 10 player in the world.
I think it's a great question. And let me put it this way. One of the things that I've brought up on the show over the last week or two is if I would ask 5 people who they believe is the best Montreal Canadiens player right now, or their favorite player right now, or the player that they believe will be the best player within a couple of years. If you ask 5 people, you might get 5 different answers.
And that's why I wrote the article on Monday.
Suzuki, Caufield, Slafkovsky, Demidov, and Lane Hutson, with all due respect to the others for now.
Yep.
Fast forward 3-4 years from now, Jacob Fowler, Michael Hage, and Zarowski, maybe even Reinbacher, to name a few, might be added to that, and you might get 7 or 8 different answers.
And that was the total. That was
you
the
could
total.
do an exercise like that, Eric. Pardon me. When's the last time you could do an exercise like that and get that many different answers? And that's why the article's great.
Look, you're a little older than I am. Okay, I just turned 43 last Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm 10 years older than you are.
So the answer to your question is the 70s, and I wasn't around. 1983 is when I'm born, and I got into the Canadiens at a pretty young age. Watching their games, and I can't tell you that I have vivid memories of 86, but I have very vivid memories of 89 and 93. The Canadiens haven't had anything close to what they have right now through all the years that I've been alive, and you were pretty young, I think, and towards the back half of their last dynasty where they had that type of conversation around them. I think that was the reason I wrote the article. That was the reason I was saying to myself, I love the question that Charlie asked me, which was, who's the one guy if you had to pick out of all those guys? Because you could have a different answer. Because Lane Hutson could be the answer, or Nick Suzuki could be the answer, or Cole Caufield, who appears destined to score 50 goals for the first time and potentially not the last, could be the answer. And Slafkovsky could be the best power forward in the league within a couple of years. Slafkovsky, I talked to Andrei Svechnikov yesterday, and he was like, it's like putting up a mirror watching this guy play. And Svechnikov is 25 and Slafkovsky is 22. Like, they have identical numbers right now, with Slafkovsky having like 2 more points, I think, or maybe 3 more points. And I would have said that Slafkovsky at his top end would hit the numbers that he's going to hit this year. That 3 years from now, when he's 25, when he's entering his prime and he's more of a complete product, that if he was a 35 goal, 35 assist, 200-foot power forward, you're looking at a player fulfilling the promise that he had when he was drafted first overall. And I know some people might be like, well, that's just 70 points. If you can evenly score 35 goals and notch 35 assists, and he's on pace for 32 goals and 40 assists, I mean, you're a hell of a player in this league.
Well, if you're a 75 point power forward, considering what you're bringing, your values like that of a guy of 100 points.
But
It's the same thing.
I think you'd probably agree that when he gets to Svechnikov's age, given what we're seeing from him, maybe this is it, and we just see him just become more dominant, even if the points don't go up. But I don't think it's beyond him to be a 40-40 guy. Like, I don't think it's beyond him to be a 42-45 guy. Like, he's 22 in 6 days. It's ridiculous. And I think the conversation around him is the best conversation of all, because if you rewind 2 years, the conversation was, oh, it's going too slow. Mm-hmm. And now the conversation is, wow, it's going a lot faster than anybody thought it could. Like, it's
I think Slafkovsky is better than Svechnikov already.
Listen, I'm not sure Svechnikov would debate it, although he's a hell of a player. And I would say this about Svechnikov. If he was playing for the Montreal Canadiens, he'd be a 40-40 guy.
Well, he would be just what the doctor ordered, because the Canadiens need 2 Slafkovskys and they got one, right?
He'd be an unbelievable. He can't say it, but I will. He'd be an unbelievable fit in Montreal. And I just think he's one of a number of players in Carolina that are stuck in a very rigid system. And when they play that system, they're as hard to handle as any team in the league. But it's not a system that encourages the type of offensive creativity that he has. He can be more productive. If he was in a different team, he would be. And that's not taking anything away from how he plays and who he is with that team, because they need him. And a lot of those guys, you could say the same thing of. There is a certain discipline regarding their system that it's straightforward and it's the way they play, and that's okay. If everybody's committed to it, they're as dangerous as anyone. But you put him on the Montreal Canadiens with his talent and his size and his physicality and his ability, I think he's closer to a 40-goal scorer than a 25, 30-goal scorer.
He's just what the doctor ordered. Now, seeing as we're talking about this young core, I have to say this about Suzuki. I want to look back at last night's win, and I tweeted this earlier today. The second goal, Dobson engages. Suzuki recognizes it. He covers him at the right point at the blue line. The puck comes back to him. He takes a shot. The rebound goes.
Hold on. The puck didn't just come back to him. Did you see him calling for that? He was like, give me the puck right now.
He tapped his stick on the ice. I want the puck. He got the puck. He shot it. The rebound falls right on Cole Caufield's stick. He scores the goal. That's the second goal of the Canadiens. The third goal, Matheson engages. Suzuki picks up on it. He goes to cover at the point again. The puck goes from Matheson, I believe, to Suzuki at the point, who passes it to Dobson at the left point, whose shot is deflected by Cole Caufield and then redirects off of Slafkovsky's knee. They score that goal. Marty St. Louis often talks about basically gauging the risk and playing smart. Like, the second the 2 defensemen engaged on 2 separate goals, Suzuki's like, I'm not going to engage as well because we're going to get caught. And it's so smart. And we already know he's such an intelligent player. Suzuki, what's amazing is that there is this progression in terms of points, in terms of offensive play and defensive play every year. And he gets better and better and better and better. And it's hard when doing this exercise to actually give a name that's not going to be Suzuki, because Suzuki is on the verge of probably hitting 100 points, which is the first time any Montreal Canadiens player has done that since Naslin in 86. But I'll say this, and now I'll get to Demidov. It's high where I'm putting the where I'm going to compare Demidov right now. But I'm telling you, ever since he broke into the league, I see shades of Kucherov. And I know that Kucherov has arguably, in the last 3 seasons, been the best player in the National Hockey League, arguably, in the last 3 seasons. So if I say that Demidov reminds me of Kucherov, that means that I'm saying that I think Demidov, for about 3 straight years, can be the best player in the world. I think he can. I really believe he can. Right now, and for those who are saying, Tony, you're off your rocker, why is it impossible to think that a player that was drafted in the second round, 58th overall, compared to a player that was drafted first round, 5th overall,
who should have been drafted second,
who should have been drafted second, and by the way, when Kucherov was 20 years old, Kucherov had 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points in 52 games. Demidov's 20 years old. He's a better 20-year-old than Kucherov was. Now, Kucherov in his second year had 65.
Yeah.
And in his third year had 66. And then his fourth year had 85. And then 100 and 128. I think Demidov has it in him, man. I see shades of Kucherov.
Demidov could end up with over 60 points this season as a rookie.
Yeah.
I will say this, like I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to become Kucherov, but I will tell you that the Canadiens are absolutely developing him very much in the same way that they would like him to become exactly that type of player. First of all, he has the ability to do it. Second of all, he has the development staff to do it. And Adam Nicholas and Marty St. Louis, when you hear them talk all the time about playing between checks, and they're big proponents of that, always put yourself between checks. That's like the Kucherov model of being a hockey genius. Demidov has that ability. It's a big part of his game. And with the drive, because he has a drive similar to Lane Hutson's, I don't want to put it on the same exact place, but they're two peas in a pod in terms of their dedication to the game. That's unstoppable. Like and look, I mean, who are the best players in the game? Really, who are the best players in the game? It's yes, it's Kucherov and McDavid and all these guys, but these kids that are coming up right now between Schaefer and Celebrini, Demidov is going to put himself in that class. Like that's what he's chasing and that's what he wants to be. And I don't see anything stopping him other than some sort of catastrophic injury. And God forbid that happens to him or anybody else who's chasing that kind of greatness.
Yeah.
I think when you combine his passion, his talent, his fearlessness in terms of playing in the league already at his age, nothing you're saying is out of the realm of possibility. I wouldn't say it's probable, but it is. I think he's going to be a top 10 player in the world within 5 years. And that sounds like an outlandish statement. You're saying he has the potential to become the best, if not one of the three best players in the world. I would not put a ceiling over him in terms of his ability to do that when you couple it with the guys who are there to develop him, because they know what he's capable of and they can help him get there.
Like Kucherov was a winger, Demidov's a play driver. Demidov is a playmaking winger. There are a couple of players in the National Hockey League that have that ability. Obviously, Kucherov is one. Patrick Kane was another. Artemi Panarin was another. Mitch Marner is another. The list goes on and on. There's some of those guys. Demidov is one of those guys. This is it's an amazing article. It's an amazing discussion. We can actually have a podcast that can probably last 3 hours just on this, okay? Because Cole Caufield is in contention for the Rocket Richard. Cole Caufield has the opportunity to become the Canadiens' first 50-goal scorer since Richer scored 51 back in 1991. What value do you put on somebody who is a specialist, an expert, the best in the world at doing the hardest thing to do in the game of hockey, scoring goals? Cole Caufield has that.
He might not win the Rocket Richard.
He might if Colorado gets in, decide to rest McKinnon last couple of games.
Yeah, well, he might, but he might not. And he may never be at this level again. I don't know. I can't say. But I could tell you right now, watching him, he's the best goal scorer in the world right now. Right now, there's no goal scorer that's better than Cole Caufield. And that's a pretty elite list of players that he's on.
That's a fact. Since finding out January 2nd that he was not going to be named on the Olympic team, he is far and away the leading goal scorer in the National Hockey League since the 2nd of January.
You get to 44 without potting an empty netter.
Yep.
I mean, that's absurd. He's never had one in his career. Had this conversation with Elliot, who brought up to me that Brett Hull went very late into his prolific goal scoring career without ever hitting an empty net until he finished his career with 11 of them. But it was very late before he got his first one, and that was like a badge of honor for him. And I think Cole probably wears that as a badge of honor also. You know what I love about Cole Caufield? I mean, I love a lot of things about Cole Caufield because he's just a great human being. When we were in the room last night, just as like all the media avail was wrapping up, he grabbed the sheet out of my hand and he looked at it and he goes, +2. Yes. That's what he cares about. Like, he wants to be, he's a complete player. Like, what
I love about him? He's happier for his teammates when they score than he almost is, or just as much as when he scores himself. And goal scorers in sports, usually very selfish players, a lot of them, or not usually, but you see a lot of them that are, the goal scoring is important. Like I've seen goal scorers, and I know you've seen this too. We don't have to mention any names, that if their team lost 5-2, but they scored 2 goals, there's worse things in life. It wasn't the end of the world, right? They don't go home devastated because their team lost 5-2. Like, hey, you know what? I did my job. I scored a couple of goals. I love a lot about Cole Caufield. I love the team player that he is, the 200-foot player that he's become, his smile, his flair for the dramatic. And when we talk about best players, right? I get it. There's things that he doesn't do, like he's obviously doesn't pass the puck like Nick Suzuki, but Nick Suzuki doesn't score goals like Cole Caufield, right? But what's the value that you put on, besides scoring the goals, which is the hardest thing to do, what's the value that you put on being clutch, being the guy that scores the goal for your team almost every single time your team needs a goal at an important moment of the hockey game? What's the value that you put on a guy scoring the amount of overtime winners that this guy has, or game-winning goals? That means a lot.
You can't put a price on it, but 7.75 is a pretty damn good one. Like, man, the Canadiens just they gotta be thanking themselves every day for him signing the deal that he signed. You know what? We look at one of the most beautiful things about this era of hockey is how accessible the team is to the fan base. Okay. Social media has opened up a whole new world for everybody. And so even though the fans can only get so close to this team and to its locker room, they can feel the vibe of the team, right? You feel the vibe of the team. You're stuck in the studio so much. You get out to the game whenever you can. I see you around here and there, but for the most part, you're at least a layer detached from it, and you're still brought into it by everything you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
The vibe that you feel and see, it's that guy. It's that guy is at the center of that vibe around that team, and it's a team that is very close. It's as close knit as it is the most close-knit team I've covered in 18 years. And you have, I think, a huge function of that is obviously all these kids growing up together and going through these things together and taking these steps together and all being within the same age range. And he's at the center of that vibe. Like he's since the day he stepped into that locker room, he just has brought this energy to it that everybody feeds off of. And it's not a secret. I don't think I'm telling anybody anything that they don't know. He's an unbelievable teammate. He celebrates everybody's success, as Marty was talking about with Roger Grillo and everybody else on the team, and Marty's comment about it the night that he scored the hat trick. In terms of the player, man, like if you go back to the hat trick and you watch the way that third goal was scored, and he's pickpocketing somebody and sending it to Suzuki and getting open, and give and go. He scores in every single way. I think he's the best goal scorer in the game. And you know what, Tony, I just want to say one more thing, because we've talked about this whole core, and it's a perfect transition to a player who I think is not getting enough recognition within this entire picture.
Mind you, we haven't even talked about Hutson yet, bro.
Yeah, so Hutson, Hutson would have been the most natural answer to my friend Charlie's question, right? Like he had said, he had said, like who's the guy moving forward, and I said Demidov, and
he said Hutson, right? He said Hutson.
It could have easily been Hutson, right?
Well, I think so, because, and I know we're going to transition right now. I want to say this because I think we got to get Hutson the respect that he deserves as well. To think that Lane Hutson, a couple of years ago, played at Boston University, and a couple of years later is with the Montreal Canadiens. And last year at age 21 in his rookie season at 5'9", 162 pounds, did not, like Leo Carlson, do load management, played all 82 games when so many critics said this guy is going to get killed. And he was the third leading point getter on the Canadiens, number 1 in assists on the Canadiens.
Yeah.
Tied a record for NHL rookie defenseman, which was set by Larry Murphy back in 1981 for 60 assists. and then go into the playoffs, become with Matheson the most utilized player for time on ice, end up the playoffs getting creamed the way so many people thought he would get creamed, but ended up getting up when so many people thought he would be down and stay down. It ends up being the leading point getter of the Canadiens in the playoffs. And this year has already doubled his goal production and is likely going to, of course, going to finish with more points than he did a year ago. He has the chance.
He hit 66 in game 65.
Yeah, so he's on pace for like a point per game type of thing.
He's ridiculous and such a great kid.
And Lane Hutson ends up tying or breaking league or Montreal Canadiens records, like I think every couple of weeks.
No, he's unbelievable, and he's a great kid, and his ability to self-assess is so impressive. I was talking about this on Hockey Central on Sportsnet yesterday. He wasn't Saturday. He played a really good game. Didn't end up on the point sheet. No. He was a touch away from having an assist on Caufield's third goal. You know what he took away from the game? He didn't like the play that he made that led to Simon Holmstrom's goal. And I asked him, like, you park that, you take that, away and assess it on the off day. He goes, no, I don't like to waste the game. Like, this kid is so mature, and he is such a good kid, and he's only in his second year in the league, and he is
69 and 70 are his points. 69 points in 70 games, so on pace for about a point per game, an 80-point season.
He's going to have more than a point per game this year. I know he's under it right now. I think he's going to end up over it. I just watched Lane Hutson, the kid growing up and the development, and the biggest balance for him is obviously finding it between wanting to be the difference on every single shift and trying not to do too much,
not forcing it,
that's a really hard balance to achieve. But he's going to master it eventually.
Yes.
And eventually he's going to come sooner than later. So, like, he deserves every flower you throw at him. There is an argument to be made that out of all those guys, he will be the best one. That's the beauty of these guys. Like, there's no ceiling above either one of them.
He's changed the complexion of the Montreal Canadiens, and that shift versus the Boston Bruins, that's probably the shift of the year. Like, I don't
Unbelievable in overtime.
I've never seen anything like it. Okay, now
wait. So, Tony, wait. Because I was just gonna make one point here. We talked about all these guys, right? Suzuki, Caufield, Hutson, Demidov.
I was gonna transition for you. Yeah, tell me where you're going now.
Noah Dobson.
Less flashy.
Highest paid player on the Canadiens.
Yeah.
Plays like a star pretty much every night without getting any recognition for it. He turned the game yesterday. That game that you were watching the Canadiens get their teeth kicked in through the first period.
Mm-hmm.
He had to do some cleanup for his partner throughout that first period.
Yeah, it was a little tough for Matheson last night in the first.
Dobes was fantastic, kept them in there until Kapanen scored that goal, and he was fantastic. Made 33 straight saves throughout the rest of the game. He deserves everything that got thrown his way afterwards. He was the column that I wrote yesterday as well. Noah Dobson is so under the radar good. Like, this guy, the way he's playing right now is huge for the Canadiens. And the more the games get important, the more he's proving it. And he doesn't have to be the guy. So the risk reward quotient is pretty good for him. And his physical implication is up. But you play against that Carolina team, Tony, and they throw everything at you. And you saw in the first period, there was two mistakes the Canadiens were making. It wasn't just, they were asleep. One, too many defensemen handling the puck and trying to move it. Can't do that against those guys. And too many forwards grabbing the puck and wanting to remain in possession and cycling it back to their defensemen in their own zone. You got to go north. No choice against Carolina. They force you to play a certain way. You have to do that. Noah Dobson was the one who turned all of that around.
Correct. Whether it was Lane Hutson, which was trying to deke a defender on a 1-on-3, and then the puck gets turned over and it goes the other way, or Zachary Bolduc at one point who tried to do the same thing. I think when Kapanen scored that goal yesterday, the Canadiens made an adjustment. I think there was about 8.5 minutes left in period number one. The shots on goal were 10-1 Carolina at that point, and Demidov banked it off of the boards, and it went to Kapanen, who picked up the puck, ended up circling the net, passed it to Demidov to Newhook, back to Demidov, back to the point to Struble. His wrist shots deflected by Kapanen. the Canadiens showed on that play that when Carolina's defending like that, sometimes you just have to put the puck behind them and go after it. And that's what they did.
You can't get there unless you get the puck up the ice properly. And Noah Dobson was the one that broke all that down. The key to beating Carolina is very simple. You need to beat their first wave of pressure. And if that means throwing the puck off the glass, that's what you do. If it means icing the puck, ice the puck. If you create a flip into the neutral zone and create a race and beat their first layer, great. Or if you use your skill, and Noah Dobson's skill is his skating, to beat that first guy, all of a sudden it opens up and you get opportunity. And he was the one who calmly, every one of his teammates saw what he was doing and they were like, oh, okay, there is a way here. And you're going to see it Sunday. There's going to be a difference. Now, Carolina is going to be pissed off with how that game went, and they're going to bring it. But the way the Canadiens manage it, I think it was very easy to just look at Dobes' performance and say he was the difference. And he was. I won't take anything away from him. They also shoot the puck from center ice. Like, they shoot the puck all over the place. The 43 shots that they had, more than half of them were from all over the place. But the Canadiens made adjustments, and Noah Dobson was at the center of them. And I don't think we've done a lot of talking about him this year. I don't think he's gotten a lot of oxygen when we talk about the core players. We just went through 5 of them and talked about how you could name any one of them as the best. And I don't know if Noah Dobson will ever enter that conversation as saying, well, he's going to be the best of those guys. But damn, is he good. Like, he's making a big difference for them.
So you're right. And I agree with you. And I want to say something that I don't want it to be misconstrued or taken the wrong way. Like, unfortunately for him, his effectiveness, he's kind of like in Hutson's shadow. You understand? Like, so if Hutson's not on this team,
and he's accepted to be there.
Yes, right? And he's
a number 1 power play quarterback on any team in the league.
So that's right. If he's on another team and he's not on a team with Hutson, I think what he brings, we're talking about it a lot more. But you're right. He is an important player in the Canadiens. And for anyone who doubts that deal and says, oh, you know what, they gave up this or that, the Canadiens wouldn't be nearly the same team that they are without Noah Dobson. He's a difference maker. He's a difference maker.
He's got 12 goals without barely playing on the power play.
Yeah.
No. Power play producer his entire career. He's got, I don't know what his career high is in goals in a season.
Well, he had that 70-point season. I don't remember what he had in goals. I will look it up right now
10.
To be transparent.
Might have been 10.
Okay. So it was 13 his career high, which is not the season that he had 70 points, by the way, because he did have 10 goals, but the year before. And the year before that, he had 2 consecutive seasons of 13 goals. Okay. So he's at 12. So he's 2 goals away from a career high.
He's going to get there with averaging literally a third of the power play time that he averaged in those years where he put up 70 points and 13 goals or whatever it was.
Noah Dobson was a plus 12 this year after being a minus 16 with the Islanders a year ago, by the way.
He averages a third of what he averaged on the power play with the Islanders and 3 times as much on the penalty kill as he averaged with the Islanders.
You talked about adjustments. I got Marty St. Louis on how the team was able to bounce back after a tough first period, and Alex Newhook on how the group was able to self-correct. Let's hear from St. Louis and Newhook right now.
I mean, you can hear the players talk, how, it's not good enough and let's do more of that or more of this, and you try to get it back one shift at a time, one action at a time, and I feel like we've been able to do that. And sometimes you just need the period to end, and hopefully you didn't get hurt too much. That was a big goal, the goal that Cappy scored. And then you can kind of come up for air, talk a little bit, and get back at it. And I think that's what we did.
In the room, regardless of veteranness, I guess it would be a word for our team. But, we got guys that have been around. We got guys that know what this team needs to do to win and what we need to do to be successful. And, I think, like you said, sometimes it comes from the room. It doesn't need to come from the coach all the time. And being able to correct ourselves and know what we need to change is important. And we've done that past couple of games and come out successful.
There you have it. There's Alex Newhook. All right. We're going to get to, we're going to comment on what they had to say in just a second. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, a leading asset light 3PL that's driven to be different from cross-border freight between Canada, USA, and Mexico. Coast-to-coast shipping in both Canada and the United States. Energy moves it all. They're fast, reliable, and powered by tech that delivers smarter logistics. If you need a real partner in transportation, contact the team at sick@shipenergy.com and see how Energy Transportation Group is changing the freight game. Also brought to you in part by Playground. It's hockey night at Playground. As if watching hockey wasn't thrilling enough, now every goal means more action on the felt before the puck drops. Every poker table is randomly assigned a player from the Montreal team, and when your player scores, boom! Playground splashes the next pot with up to $200 in chips. Catch every game on Playground's big screens all around the room so you never miss a goal to play or a splash pot. Visit playground.ca/sickpodcast or click the link in the YouTube description to spin a virtual wheel on a chance or for a chance to win up to $100 in free play. Also, a shout out to the Geloso Beverage Group for big games. You want the best beers on your team, whether it's Bittt Tibi IPA with its bold flavor, Bittt Tibi Lager with its exceptional smoothness, or Bittt Tibi Ultra Lager, which is ultra light and ultra refreshing. They always have a place on your team. Bittt Tibi, brewed for special occasions. Please drink responsibly. All right, okay. We heard from St. Louis. We heard from Alex Newhook. And, you know, there's a player on this team that hasn't scored a goal since the 23rd of December. He started the season scoring several goals back-to-back, especially in games on the road. And when he didn't score goals, it didn't look like he was very effective. I think he's more effective now than he ever was at any point earlier in the season when he wasn't scoring goals, that is. So he's learned how to do other things. And we're talking about Zach Bolduc, who I think in the last little while, in terms of generating turnovers, has been very good. In terms of hits, has been very good. He's increased his shot volume as well. Is it coming around? Yes or no? Last night, and this is just the hockey stat card, which advanced stats sometimes say a lot and sometimes they don't. He was the second least effective forward for the Canadiens. The least effective was Texier. But I kind of still liked his game, Eric. Your thoughts on Zach Bolduc?
I'd throw the stat card in the garbage from last night. The stat card is heavily influenced by the Carolina Hurricanes shooting from everywhere. And it doesn't mean shit to me. Honestly, I watched that game pretty closely, and I'll tell you right now that those two guys played a very good game with Jake Evans. Big elements in cycling and creating a little bit of tiredness on the Carolina end. And you're right. He's starting to find the right places on the ice. He's starting to complete the details that you need to complete. And based on the performance that I watched last night, I would confidently predict that if he doesn't score next game, it's coming real soon. I think he's going to score. I think he had a couple of chances to score last game. I think if the confidence had been there and the puck had been going in for him, it might have bounced the other way than it did. But I see a Zach Bolduc that's gaining confidence, and I see a Zach Bolduc that's gaining relevance within this lineup. And I think if he can find the consistency to keep hammering away at those details and playing the way he played last night, I would predict that if the goal doesn't come against Columbus, it's coming before the end of the week. I can see it. I can feel it coming.
You know where I see it coming around come playoff time. I think Bolduc's going to be one of those guys come playoff time. We're going to say, where was this guy in the last 30, 40 games of the season in terms of scoring goals? I see it coming around. And of course, the other teams are going to obviously try and bottle down the Canadiens' top players and their top talents. They're going to throw everything at them. I think Bolduc has a chance to be one of those. There's always a playoff stories. There's always what is it? Chris Kontos. And right, who was the guy for the Capitals?
How about Fernando?
John Drews. John Drews, Fernando Pisani of the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, there's another one. John Drews was.
What do you think of Texier since he got back in the lineup?
I think I think Texie's. I think he's good. I think he deserves to be in the lineup. I think that he's a guy that can play on different lines and bring different things. I think Texie is a full-time NHLer, personally.
I think his physical implication has been so much greater, and it turns him into a player that you can't turn away from. I think I know the points are not falling for that line right now, but that line is playing good hockey. They're going to score points. I'm telling you.
Evans, Bolduc, and Texier. On that note, Eric, let's hear from Zach Bolduc if we can. We got a couple of clips from him.
Feeling really good on the ice. I mean, I think I got a good chemistry with my teammates, my line mates, and I think we're doing everything except scoring. So I guess we keep those goals for the bigger moments. But no, it's been fun to play with Jake and Tex, and we just gotta keep going, and at some point it's gonna go in. Well, I mean, I don't have any issues with my confidence. I know I can score goals, and I think for myself, I think you build your confidence into practices, and I still score some goals in their practice. So I can score goals, and I'll never doubt about that. But like I said, I feel like as a line we're playing really well, and we're doing everything except scoring.
You build your confidence in the practices, and I'm scoring goals in practice. Is that something?
It's a mature answer.
Yeah,
it's a mature answer, and we talked about this throughout the season. This is a player that if he came into the system 2 years ago would have been given the runway to make his mistakes and figure things out and go on his timeline. It's a different time. Like, the Canadiens are a much deeper, much more competitive team in which to play on instinct becomes very difficult as you're developing. And Zach Bolduc came here with 140 odd games of NHL experience. Yes, it was very conclusive in the second half of last season. That's what brought him here. He was physically implicated. He was good in the bumper on the power play. He hasn't had that role with the Canadiens because Slafkovsky's there or Newhook is there. There are options here that he's got to find his place. And the way to find it is finding the right spots on the ice. And until that becomes something that is automatic in your head instead of something you're thinking about, it's a difficult thing to do. We saw it with Newhook. It took him a couple of years to find his best self with the Canadiens. Marty St. Louis' system and his concepts, once you figure them out and really understand them and they become instinctual, make you a better hockey player. But it doesn't mean it's automatic for every player that comes here that they're going to get it right away. And it's not going to take them time. It's taken him time, and it's a natural timeline that he's been on given where he came in with his level of experience and his age. And I think it's starting to click for him. And I hope that the answer that he gave about maintaining his confidence in practice and stuff like that transfers for him into games and being able to finish those chances, which they should, because he's always been a goal scorer. Because if he sticks with the process and where he's currently at it, it's going to happen for him. You can see it. You can see it, and I would urge people to not pay as much attention to those stat cards as they are what he's doing on the ice. Hi, Emily. Emily just walked in.
You got to bring her on camera, man.
No, I'm not going to expose her right now. She's just coming in from work.
Oh, man.
She loves you. She loves you.
She's very pleasant to look at. You're not exposing anything. I think it would make my night, actually, if I can say hi to her.
Laughing in the background.
She is. I got to tell you, Eric, you really overachieved on this one, boy.
I know, I know.
God bless you.
I thank God every day.
You know what? You live the way people dream. All right, okay. Hello to Emily, and I know she's moving up the ranks professionally, by the way, because I saw that on LinkedIn. So congratulations to her.
Okay. Yeah. She's a superstar.
Yes, that's what I hear. Okay. Jakub Dobes played like a superstar last night. He stopped 41 of 43. He's picked up 23 wins in the 34 starts. And it's funny because when the Canadiens gave the net to Jacob Fowler that game in Ottawa, when they played 2-2, and they had played the night before, and Dobes beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. Fowler was amazing. He'd stopped 32 of 34 en route to a 3-2 win. He was particularly amazing, I think, in the last 3 minutes of that hockey game with an empty net. I think Claude Giroux could have had a hat trick in the last minute and a half of the game, and he stopped everything. That night, I spoke with Pierre Maguire. I spoke with Stefan Waite. I spoke with Craig Button, to name a few. You also joined me on that very long post-game show. And Pierre Maguire, Craig Button, and Stefan Waite all told me within a span of about an hour and a half, playoff start, their number one goaltender is Jacob Fowler. Dobes probably took that pretty personally, I guess, because as Marty said about Dobes, he doesn't want anyone to steal his chair. Let's hear from Marty St. Louis on Dobes.
Like, for Dobes, he's just been trying to get that chair, steal a chair, get that chair, and and I think that's an everyday thing. Once you stop worrying about that, that's usually when somebody steals your chair, So it's an everyday thing. I think he's progressed tremendously, and he's learning how to be a pro in this league and how competitive it is, and he's doing well.
12 games left in the season. I understand that a lot can change between now and then, but considering that Dobes played that very important 4-point game last week versus Boston, played that very important 4-point game at Detroit, didn't play on the weekend, but played last night versus Carolina. I think most are expecting him to be the starter tomorrow night versus Columbus. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And considering that Marty St. Louis said that the playoffs have started unofficially, even though they haven't officially started yet, is it safe to say that if the playoffs would start tomorrow, that Jakub Dobes would start game number 1 for the Canadiens in the playoffs?
Nope. It's safe to say that he's the starter right now, and he's the starter until he's not. You know what? I think one of the reasons why Dobes is playing as well as he is, Tony, and that answer that you just heard from Marty St. Louis was a question that I asked, because he likes to fight. He's a fighter. He's a competitor.
But can I ask the same question again? Yeah. Is it safe to say that if the playoffs would start tomorrow, knowing what we know now and what we've seen in the last week, that Dobes will start? I understand your answer,
tomorrow?
By the way. Yes, I understand your answer,
it's safe to say he'll start tomorrow.
Yes, I got it.
I mean, listen, the only thing that would make it Fowler versus Columbus is because they have a back-to-back coming and they don't want Fowler to be too cold before going into one of those games, which would be understandable, but I think it's almost a no-brainer to start Dobes coming. And if you want to say that, oh, well, he was heavily taxed, like, no, I don't think so. Not with a day's rest and with half of those 43 shots coming from wherever. Like, I don't have an issue saying right now that he should start the next game. But I think why Dobes is playing as well as he is and as well as he has for most of this season, there was a portion of it where he was having a real rough time. He's a competitor, and it's important to make him feel as though he's in a fight. And you know what? These are two rookies, and they better be in a fight with each other. And this is going to bring the best out of both guys. I thought Marty St. Louis' answer was revealing of 3 different things there. The reality for Dobes, the reality for Fowler, but also the reality for Sam Montembeault. And, he's been the forgotten man in all this. And I haven't forgotten about him, because I look at Sam's rise and I try to figure out what happened this year, because it's hard to figure out. Like, this guy was 5th in goal saved above expected last year, the most important category statistically for goaltenders, okay?
I have a theory. Go ahead.
I have a theory too, and this is what it is. He started 20 of 22 games last year down the stretch. He was the number 1. He earned that currency. Nothing ripped it away from him, even if he suffered a torn groin in the playoffs. And when he came back this year, I wouldn't say that physically he reclined in that chair that he had finally worked so hard to get, but mentally something happened there where maybe for the first time in his entire life, in his entire hockey career, he felt a certain level of comfort, and that comfort was extended. Right?
He was reading the press clippings, huh? Yeah, I don't know who is. I don't know who it was.
I don't want to say it that way.
No, but I hear you. I don't know who it was that I spoke to, but it was I think it was a former coach or executive with a lot of experience. I'm trying to remember who it was that told me that they wouldn't be surprised if Montembeault got comfortable in the offseason because of the season that he had just had. My theory,
it would be normal, Tony.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, but I mean, it would be. But can I ask you something? And I know everyone's different, right? Let's put the cards on the table. You're pretty great at what you do. I'm sure people have told you before. Do you work less hard, or do you work harder to prove everyone right? Because I know what I do. What do you do?
Yeah, it's the latter. I try to work as hard as I can to meet a standard, my own personal standard, not their own, every single day, for sure.
I approach, and I'm not perfect by any means, because man, oh man, do I have faults in my life. Boy, I got a lot of them. I approach every day that I feel like I have something to prove. But I do it with my confidence being way, way high. But I still feel like I got something to prove. Like every day. Like that's my mindset.
Marty St. Louis always talked about that he never felt as though his chair was safe. And he said it in the answer last night. The minute you feel like you're in it, someone steals it from you.
I'm not comparing us to a professional athlete, all right? We're just talking for talking. My theory is that even though the games were so important down the stretch last year and the Canadiens had to get in on the final day of the regular season in the final game, I think the Canadiens surprised the hockey world last year. I think if they wouldn't have got in, it was still a very, very successful season. No one would have held it against them. And I think after making a trade and acquiring Dobson and making a trade and acquiring Bolduc and going into the season with a Demidov for an entire season and a young core that had 1 year experience under their belt and a coaching staff that had one more year experience under their belt, everyone this offseason and in training camp had the Canadiens making the playoffs, expected the Canadiens to make the playoffs. So many people have the Canadiens winning at least a round or did going into the season that I think it was a different kind of pressure on Montembeault. And we know that the goalie of the Montreal Canadiens already has a ton of pressure. Imagine if that goalie is from the province of Quebec. And I think in certain moments we see who can handle the pressure and who cannot. And this may be unfair, but I'll say it anyway, and I say it respectfully. I think the pressure got to Montembeault this year, and it was probably just a little bit too much for him. But your theory could be right.
No, I think it's a combination of those two things, for sure. It is a lot of pressure, and he created that pressure, and it's a pressure that he had never really lived before, aside from starting those 20 and 22 games where he was in the zone already, right? Like, his confidence was bolstered. He was named to Team Canada's roster, and deservedly so, not because he was French-Canadian and filling a contingent. He was a great goaltender last year. He was a huge reason they made the playoffs. And I think what happened to him is a very normal, natural circumstance that's why I'm unwilling to say that it's over for him and he'll never be like the people that are like, he'll never be good again and this and that. Like, he'll prove them wrong.
We had quite the discussion last night on the Habs post-game show. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. Myself, Pierre Maguire, and Brian Wild. I don't think it's over for Montembeault. I think he'll have an opportunity to show himself again. I do believe, unless something crazy happens in terms of injuries with the Canadiens goalies, I don't think Montembeault will ever play another game for the Canadiens. I say it respectfully again.
I think it's a dangerous thing to say never or ever, because I don't like, we would have counted him out the last time he went into this tailspin earlier this season, and he was back and playing better than most people expected him to. So
I hear you. Well, let me ask you this. Yeah. Do you expect Jacob Feller to be with the Canadiens next year?
Yes.
Do you expect him to be with the Canadiens out of camp and start the season with the Canadiens?
Yes.
Do you expect Jakub Dobes to be with the Canadiens to start next season?
Yes.
Do you expect the Canadiens to go to 3-goalie system again?
No.
So unless
a
goalie gets hurt,
unless 12 games of the playoffs,
correct. But like I said, unless a goalie gets or two gets hurt here,
yeah, you're making a logical argument. Gotcha.
I don't see. Okay, so now, in ending, Habs versus Carolina tomorrow.
Columbus.
Pardon me. Habs versus Columbus tomorrow, in Nashville on Saturday and in Carolina on Sunday. This team under Rick Bowness, my God, I think it was Aaron Portzline that put up their record before Bowness and since Bowness. It's incredible, their record.
I told you when he got hired, and I told you right before the Olympics, they're going to be a problem for somebody, if not many other teams, and they are. So and, he's by the way, people don't know Rick Bowness. A lot of people know Rick Bowness around hockey because he's been around for so long. He is a phenomenal person and an incredible coach, and they are very much on brand of being so hard to play against. And don't forget what happened last season, right?
Yeah.
Like, you thought the Carolina game was hard. These guys are going to bring it. And if the Canadiens don't match them from a compete standpoint, they're not going to outskill them. So that's a huge game. I can't predict what's going to happen. I know you were going to ask me for a prediction. I don't know, but
I have the stats here. I have the stats. Shane Gomo, look at that.
Yeah.
Before Bonus was hired, they were 8th in the Metropolitan, so last. 16th in the East, so last. And 28th in the NHL, 5th last. Hired on January 12th. Since then, went from 8th in the Metropolitan to 2nd, went from 16th in the East to 5th, and went from 28th overall in the league out of 32 to 8th.
Dude,
it's unbelievable. He gets in, he's the coach of the year.
Dude, the Canadiens have been I don't know about that. I think
he gets in, he's in the discussion.
I think Lindy Ruff, John Cooper.
Yes.
And
if Ottawa gets in, Travis Green deserves
Bednar,
if Ottawa gets in, Travis Green deserves consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got great underlying numbers.
It'd be very hard to argue with the candidates that you mentioned, but I think Bonus has been really incredible. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. We covered the Evans line. We covered Bolduc turning it around. Demidov feeling it. Who could be the best of the core? The number one line. Dobes' performance last night. I think all Montreal Canadiens fans have been served. Eric Engels, a Sportsnet. If you missed his article on Jakub Dobes earlier today, we'll bring up the picture. Jakub Dobes' latest win affirmed his status as the Canadian starting goalie. Even if no one has actually said it, it's probably best it stays that way. Dobes seems to be at his best when he's fighting for something, says Eric. And, we talked about Cole Caufield before. Once again, Mr. Saturday Night, even though last night wasn't Saturday night. Here you have it, Mr. Saturday Night. We also have the T-shirts en français.
Great T-shirt.
You can get them at sickattire.com. And our buddy Luciano from Lucky Graphics, who makes them for us, actually had that on a hoodie last night. It was unbelievable. He started making them. I'll ask him as well. But sickattire.com for your Cole Caufield T-shirts. Eric, enjoy the hockey game tomorrow night. This was a fantastic podcast. And as usual, you brought it. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
There you have it. Speaking of the Canadiens and the Columbus Blue Jackets, if you want to get in on the action, go all the way with Betway. Get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offers only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. Special thanks to Allard and Emol. They've set the standard for HVAC service in Montreal. They bring you Eric Engels, allardemol.com. Special thanks to Geloso Beverage Group and Bittt Tibi. Also special thanks to Playground and special thanks to Energy Transportation Group. Also, thank you to Shane Gomo and Master Control for all of you watching. Once again, in all transparency, this was recorded a little bit earlier before 10 o'clock. So the game between Boston and the Buffalo was not over at that point, and that's why we hadn't talked about it. Mind you, it wouldn't really change anything in the standings. The way the Canadiens were going into tonight's game is the way that they'll be even after tonight's games. Thanks for watching. Once again, a reminder, I'll be back tomorrow morning, Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. en français, le SIC podcast on this same YouTube channel. We talk all Montreal sports and all Montreal teams with a focus on the Canadiens. And we talk Montreal Canadiens hockey and only Canadiens hockey weeknights at 10 p.m. and immediately after every Montreal Canadiens game. And yes, that includes weekends. If you like the podcast tonight, like it. If there's the hype button on the video, hit the hype button if you can. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. Tell all your friends and family about it. And I hope you'll be there in large numbers tomorrow morning and tomorrow night. Thanks for watching. It's a Sick Podcast. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBita.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.